I've recently been luxury shopping in both London and Dublin, and I have some things that I want to show you, some footage that I took, some bags I'd like to share with you, but I also want to have a chat with you about luxury shopping in general at the minute, because these two trips were both very, very different for me. Normally, whenever I go luxury shopping in either London or Dublin, they're very, very expensive affairs. Now, London was expensive because I bought ready-to-wear and I bought some other bits and pieces that I will show you. But the main expensive piece that I bought when I was there was the dress from the Flight Mode collection that I've already unboxed and shared with you, and I'll put footage in so you can see what that looks like. That was the most expensive piece I think I bought that weekend. I love it. I adore it. I have worn it twice. I think it's very my style. There's so many of my bags that it can style with that I have no regrets on that. I think it was a great purchase. But normally, if I am shopping in either London or Dublin, we're coming home with 1, 2, 3, 4 handbags. We're coming home with lots of handbags. Now, I don't know if this is just that my own mindset on luxury shopping is changing, because let's be honest, I have a lot of bags, but I don't really think it's that, because I've filmed a video sharing with you 7 of the bags that I'm currently obsessed with, absolutely obsessed with. Just none of them are this season. So I don't think it's so much that my shopping has moved well beyond bags. I do think that I need to be a bit more sensible and buying less bags, because I have so many, I can't wear all of the ones that I have. And it's quite difficult now to find a bag in store that is very different to something I already do have, that's worth putting the money in and the justification to bring that into my collection. So yes, spoiler alert, there were no bags from either of those trips. And I kind of, for me at the minute, there is not that much that's being released in the current collections that's really exciting me. One of the things when we were in London that did excite me the most was the limited edition Loewe puzzle bags. These were released to mark an anniversary of the puzzle bag. They're very cool. Some of these I thought were really, really cool. The one that I liked the most, I think, looked like an American football, or it certainly had that type of feel to it for me. That was sold out already. There were very limited supplies of these bags made worldwide, and that meant that each country had very, very limited versions of it. And where we were looking at these was in Harrods. They did have some of them. It was actually before the release, but they did have some to show you. And probably my favourite that they had was this multicolour one. The colours, obviously, the multicolour nature of it spoke to my soul. And the colours were vibrant. They were primary colours. I thought this was a really cool bag. If this had been in the mini size of the puzzle bag, I would have bought it. The reason I didn't buy it was the small size. All of the anniversary prints of these bags were in the small size. And I know that it's small, clues in the title, Amelia, but still when I tried it, I felt it was too big. I generally don't think I would carry the puzzle bag handheld on its own. I think I would wear it crossbody. I think this is one of the problems I have with the P9 Speedy. I know. Very, very expensive bag, doesn't get very much use from me at all, because I only wear it crossbody. And when I wear it crossbody, it's very, very casual, and it feels very, very casual. And it's a very expensive bag to be wearing as a very casual bag. I don't really style that with an outfit. It's more of a, I'm running to the soft play with my children, I'll throw that on, or I'm running to the cinema with them, I'll throw that on. That is a very hugely, bad grammar, but hugely expensive bag to be wearing for those sorts of circumstances. When I style outfits, and I've been doing that a lot more recently, without being on YouTube, I suppose I've had more time, it's not a bag I look to style. I don't look to style it with an outfit. And I think that says something to me about that bag. Price of it. It's a fabulous bag. It's beautiful. The leather's stunning. I just don't style it as a look. And I suppose I've just admitted that to myself. I don't style it as a look, and I don't really like carrying a Speedy handheld. I don't know if I maybe need to learn my lesson on the Speedies. No matter how many of them I buy, don't really work for me. So I think the Loewe puzzle bag would be similar to that. I think I would wear it casually and crossbody. And when I tried that on in the small size, which was the limited edition prints, it felt really big and bulky. And I know it won't be big and bulky to a lot of people, but I am 5'1". I'm not huge in stature, and it just looked and felt big to me, and I wasn't really comfortable with it. They did have another version that I looked at that I will put on the screen. I thought this was really pretty. I thought it was very intricate. I thought the detailing on this was stunning. But again, it was in the larger size, and I think it's a sort of bag that, to get its full impact, needs to be carried handheld and needs to be styled handheld. And I think this would fall into the same trap as that does, in that I wouldn't style it with looks, and then it would mean I wouldn't really wear it. So I didn't buy any of these anniversary bags, even though I thought the prints on them, the colours were really fun, especially compared to some of the other Loewe bags that I looked at and I will share with you. These were certainly my favourite, the anniversary versions, but just in that larger size, they didn't work. When I did go to the Loewe store, I took a look at the bags they had in store. They had quite a few puzzle bags, and I'll put all of these on the screen, but they were very neutral. And I know that's not a bad thing for most people. Most people like neutral bags, but the colours for me were too muted, too neutral, not vibrant enough, not strong enough. And the colours showing through all of the designers at the minute, for me, are really probably not popping enough. They're probably not dual toned enough. They're probably not strong enough. And that's just personal preference. In Loewe, they also had a couple of the squeeze bags. I'll grab one of those. This is the squeeze in the small size. This colour is absolutely stunning. I got this in Paris. It has the gold detailing on it. I actually love the chain on it. I think it's a really cool bag. I haven't been wearing it, and the reason I haven't been wearing this bag is because I'm so in love with the YSL Jamie bag that's taken over my life and taken over my Neverfull. I wear that every day. So when I was going to look to wear a slightly larger bag, and in my collection this is slightly larger, I wasn't reaching this, and I'm not reaching for this. I'm reaching for the YSL. So this has kind of, I've used this a couple of times when I first got it, and since then it hasn't really been used. It's just been in this room. The whole time I was off YouTube, I don't think I used this once because I was using the Jamie. So I will have to make decisions about this, because I've decided there are bags in here that I learnt over that time that I just don't really love enough and don't use enough. But they did have some of these. They had them again in neutral colours, and none of those were speaking to me. The bag itself, because by that point I was into the Jamie, the squeeze probably wasn't calling to me anyway, because I haven't really been using that one. But if any of them were going to call to me, they certainly didn't have the colours really that would have been standing out. They also had quite a few wicker bags in Loewe, but they wouldn't really be something I think I would get enough use out of. In Loewe, the thing that in the main store that called me the most were probably these jeans from the Ibiza collection that's done each year. I thought these were really cool and funky. Bestie was with me and he was like, no, behave. They're a lot of money for the few times that you'll wear them. I can still see them in my head though. I can still see them styled. I think I would have worn them, and I think I would have, yeah, I kind of regret not buying these. I think these are very, very cool. We then went to Fendi, and again, there were quite a lot of bags in Fendi to look at, but they were all quite muted and neutral. There was a bright orange, but most of it was kind of blues and browns and neutral colours. There were a number of baguettes. There was the denim baguette in Fendi. They did have an orange peekaboo that had the kind of woven look to it. I did like it, but not enough to consider buying it. The colour was good, but just not enough, I don't think, especially the price of the peekaboo to justify me adding it into my collection. The peekaboos, there were ones with embroidery and different bits on them that all looked very, very pretty, but none of them, I think it's the colours, just too muted for me and nothing really standing out. They were all very neutral. The colour coming through with the neutrals was that orange type of colour. It was in the clothing and it was in the peekaboo bag. But even the kind of multicoloured versions, none of them were really screaming to me, you have to buy me and I want to go and live in the room of colour. You have to be quite vibrant to stand out in here, and I don't think any of those would. And I was being quite, sometimes I can just get carried away and we all know I've bought bags before that I maybe shouldn't have bought, but I was being quite sensible on this trip and none of them was actually jumping at me enough to consider spending. What I did like from Fendi was the ready-to-wear. I tried on these printed jeans. I'm in a real era of denim. I have leopard print denim on today. I'm loving denim and that's something I'm going to look at in Paris. I'm on a denim moment, but these printed denim, something about them just wasn't right. I couldn't tell what it was when I was trying them on. I was nearly buying them and then I thought I'll go back for them. I liked the fact they were different. I liked the leaf print on them, but I just didn't love them on. So I didn't bring these home, so that's not one of the unboxings. I prefer the Loewe super printed multicolored jeans actually to these, but they stayed. And I did look at Calibris. The ones that I tried on with the jeans. I do still think there's Calibris in my future. I think especially if you can get the ones that have the bit of sequins or glitter or colour on them, that they're really interesting. But these ones were not making it into my basket on that day. I think with a lot of blues showing, and blue wouldn't be my strongest favourite colour. So if you were a blue lover, there was definitely a lot more for you to see than there was for me. We also went to the new Gucci store, and both of us, Bestie's a Gucci lover. That would probably be his favourite brand. If he could deck himself out in full wardrobe of one brand, it would probably be Gucci with a bit of Louis thrown in there. But we found the new store quite disappointing. The new store on Bond Street for Gucci used to be an art gallery and it's in all different rooms. I think it works the building better as an art gallery than it does as a flagship store. I found I got a bit lost in it, and walking around the different rooms, I didn't get a sense of a feel of the collection. And when you're going, or when I'm going luxury shopping and I'm looking at collections and trying to get immersed in them to see what would work for me, especially now that I'm interested in buying more ready to wear, and looking at the pieces and trying to feel what would work, it felt very disjointed and I couldn't get an overall sense of the flow of the collection. And I was in one room and then up the stairs and in this room, and this room had the bamboo handle bags, which I do really like. Dale has this in the beautiful apple green, which I think is a stunning bag. They had them in exotics, which is not for me, but if you're an exotic lover, they did have quite a few of these. I did try one on downstairs in the store in a burgundy colour, and the handle was burgundy. It was not, I liked the fact it was all the one colour, and it was probably the bag that stood out the most to me in Gucci. But again, it just felt, that was downstairs, other ones were upstairs, and bits of the clothing was here and bits of the clothing was there. And I know they've had changes in their creative director team, and maybe that's still coming through, but it felt very hard to follow. I actually preferred the older store, and I didn't get a sense of what I was even really looking at. So I was a bit disappointed, and Bestie was very disappointed in Gucci. He thought that's where he was going to do a lot of his shopping. One of the things I did like were these Perspex heeled shoes in the burgundy. I thought they were pretty cool. I did like those, and but again, they didn't come home with me either. I did go into Chanel. There wasn't a lot in Chanel grabbing me either. Not a lot of colour. Again, muteds. The pinks were pales. The colours just, and it's personal preference, personal taste. Somebody else could go into the stores at the minute that prefers more neutral or more muted colours and love the collections and spend absolute fortunes. It just wasn't for me. I did look at the denim in Chanel. I looked at the shoes. I looked at everything in Chanel. There was nothing really grabbing me at all. There was this one sequins bag I will put on the screen. This was beautiful, but not different enough to anything that I have in my collection to make me want to spend Chanel money. And that kind of carries over for when we went then to Dublin. I've been in Dublin since as well, shopping, and the only thing that I bought in Dublin, is that right? I think the only thing I got in Dublin was I got my California Dream filled up. I got the refill done. I love this perfume. It brings back so many memories from it. I just actually, let's have a bit of that. Yep. brings a lot of memories back for me. I bought this firstly in Dublin with Bestie, and it was a lot of going on at the time, and yeah, this holds a lot of memories and just brings things to my mind. So I got that filled up whenever I was in Dublin, and I think that's the only thing that I bought. I did send Bestie pictures of the ties, or was I with him? We looked at the ties. None of the ties, and that man has a collection of ties, but he loves ties. None of the ties were grabbing him either. There was nothing that was making him think, yes, buy me. In Louis, I found a lot of the bags to be their kind of staple lines. A lot of monogram, a lot of neutral colours, which was coming through in all of the stores, and none of them really making me even really consider buying them, if I'm completely honest. So that was quite an inexpensive. I actually used my Brown Thomas points to get that filled up. So that was a very inexpensive trip for me, which is nice for once, especially with Paris coming up and all those other bags living in my brain rent free. We did go into Chanel, and I will put some photographs on the screen. They did have some lovely sequenced and one beaded Chanel bag. Really, really beautiful. When they came into store, Carlos had sent them to me, but when I was looking at them and he agreed, they weren't different enough to anything in my collection already to add in. They weren't standing out. They weren't really different from the gold or the different colours that I already have. They were very beautiful, and if I didn't have some of those, I maybe would have considered them more. But when you're talking Chanel prices, you have to be really sure, because they're so expensive. The resale market is not strong at the minute, so I never recommend buying bags thinking, well, sure, I can resell it and get my money back. I don't think that's sound financial advice. But even more so at the minute, when the resale market is suffering because of the economy and definitely on a downturn, that I don't think if you're buying Chanel type money, you need to love it. If you're spending any money, you need to love it. But I didn't love any of these Chanel sequenced or beaded bags enough to justify the money, so I didn't bring any of those home either. So that is a run through of what I was looking at in London and in Dublin. I apologise, it's not my normal vlog style, but I was on my break and I have done well for it. I feel much better for having. I definitely was burnt out, but not a huge amount. Ready to wear was the big thing for me, and not a lot that was really grabbing me and make me think, spend my money. Let me know what you're thinking of the luxury bags and the houses and the fashion at the moment. Are you also feeling a bit like this and a bit flat with the new releases, or are you loving them? If you're a neutral lover, you'll probably be loving them a lot more than I will. If you've enjoyed this little chat in any way, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. And if you're not done with me yet, I'm going to leave another video for you on the screen to enjoy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching me. Please take care, and I will see you again in the next one.